Welcome to Professionals and Coffee, a volunteer collective focused on boosting the professional profile of international and domestic students, newcomers, recent grads, and professionals through virtual coffee chats. My name is Carolina Salinas, and I'm a communication professional, founder and project manager of Professionals and Coffee. Today, I'm excited to have Analisa Allen, internal communication consultant at CIBC. Analisa developed her PR, marketing, and communications skills through 10 years of experience in creative and exciting public outreach initiatives and image building campaigns. She's a leader by nature, with strong presentation and media relations skills. She's a newcomer to this country with international experience as public relations manager for the Students' Loan Bureau of Jamaica. In addition, she has experience in marketing and communications within the health sector in Canada. More recently, she has developed expertise in the financial industry in Toronto for CIBC as communications consultant. Welcome to Professionals and Coffee, Analisa.
Thank you, Carolina. Thank you for having me.
No, on the contrary, thank you to you, Analisa. Throughout my research, I discovered that you have a unique professional profile because you brought your international experience from the Caribbean to Toronto, Canada. And however, I'm curious how you started your professional pathway, your professional career, and how you have ended up as the internal communication consultant for CIBC.
Oh, that's a great question. Yes, of course. That's a great question. Thank you. So I came to Canada like most immigrants a few years ago, and well, specifically 3 to be precise. And I always wanted to continue my career along the path of communications, public relations, that sort of thing. Initially, I didn't find myself in a communications role, but I decided, you know what, I had to make myself acclimatized to the Canadian landscape. And so I went back to school. I did a postgraduate certificate at Humber College, and that helped to prepare me for the workings of the communication landscape here in Canada. And one of the things that I will say is the major factor, I would say, that prepared me for accessing a job here in Canada is networking. So I did a lot of networking. I did so much networking. And that is what definitely helped to propel me into the role that I'm in now. That's along with the education that I gained from Humber College.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. I think that networking is the key in everything, not only if you want to look for a job, but also if you want to build your skills, your portfolio, and build your character.
Definitely.
How have you found it in working experience in terms of virtual space, now with this current situation, the pandemic?
Oh, the virtual space is challenging, I must say. One of the things that I find to be very, very helpful with navigating the virtual space is finding balance. So understanding the difference between work hours and personal hours. So I usually try to strike that balance by having a timeline, understanding, okay, these are the times that I have to work from 9 to 5, and after 5, I try to find my own personal space. But to be honest and to be fair to most persons, the virtual space is a little uncomfortable. It really took some getting used to. And I think each day as I go by, I learn something new about navigating this space. But it's very challenging. And I think that one of the angles is really not to take yourself, the work, or even the laptop too seriously, because we do have technical issues from time to time, but just approach it one day at a time, 1 minute at a time, and just put your best foot forward and take it as it comes.
Yeah, I think that you have made a good point, and also it's really hard to build connections through through this technology.
Through the screen.
Zoom.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly. It's harder. Could we talk about some of the tools you use to execute your job and what strategies you use to excel?
Oh, of course. So personally, time management is key. So I utilize most often my Outlook calendar. That's one. I also utilize a journal, like a manual book, because I'm a little old school, so I try to write a lot, and I use those two most importantly. I use OneNote a lot as well, and I've found that Grammarly helps me a lot. As much as I have a wealth of experience in terms of writing, I use Grammarly to help me sometimes just to craft ideas in a way that may be better or more palatable for the audiences who are receiving the information. And one of the things also that I've found pretty useful is peer review. So it's a tool, but it's not really like an electronic tool, but it's an everyday tool that we use, right? We have our peers, whether we sit with them face to face or we communicate with them through the screen. Peer review I found to be quite useful in helping to put that extra eye on work that you may produce. And it's something that I would recommend to just about anyone.
Okay, could you tell me again the name of this tool, the last tool that you mentioned?
Peer review. So my colleagues, I use my colleagues and their expertise to throw an extra eye on work that I do. We do it for each other back and forth. It's always helpful to have someone else review your work. If you sit and you write something for hours on end, it all looks the same to you after a while and you may miss errors. So I feel that having your peers, your colleagues review your work to be quite useful. It's not an electronic tool, but it's a tool all the same.
Oh, well, it sounds very interesting and helpful as well. What parts of your job do you find the most interesting and as well the most challenging?
That's a great question. So I'll start with the second part of the question first. So most challenging is the idea of not always being able to do things on your own. So I'm a very independent person and I love to work on my own and craft out ideas on my own. But I found that the most useful part of having a team is knowing that you don't have to do it on your own. And you do have your colleagues that you can rely on to share their experiences as well as bring value and input to ideas that I may have as an individual. So that is one of my challenges, understanding that you can't do everything on your own as much as you would like to. I feel that also one of the things that stands out for me within my working space is the fact that I interact with so many different people from different teams. So I have the opportunity to learn so much and I can utilize elements from another area, another profession even, to help to make my work more meaningful and good for the purpose that it is intended.
Yeah, it sounds interesting because CIBC it's a really big company and it must be really challenged to work in teams and now under this umbrella of technology, remotely. Yeah. As a newcomer to Canada like you, what steps would you recommend I should take, or maybe for other students or for other people who are watching us to prepare to enter this field?
Okay, another good question. So I would say be very open-minded. That's my first tip. Be open-minded. Be open to knowing that the things that you may have known when in your country of origin, whilst they may be valid, things are different in the Canadian space. So don't see your experiences as negative, but use them to boost and bolster the new experiences that you have here. So keep an open mind and be open to sharing your experiences to help to bring more value to anything that you touch here. Secondly, we touched on it before, networking. Networking is key. So in forums like this and other forums where you get an opportunity to sit for 30 minutes and have a coffee chat with someone, take advantage of it. Be willing to step out of your comfort zone is another thing that I would say. You may be introverted naturally, or you may not necessarily like speaking to strangers, but it helps if you just remove yourself from the process for a little bit and think about the importance of networking and use the opportunities that present themselves to you. I would also say if you do get the opportunity to go to school or enter a program that will provide you with some of the guidelines and tips for navigating yourself through the communications field here in Canada, I would advocate for that as well. My experience at Humber College helped to shape how I saw even something as simple as writing my resume, crafting my cover letter, that type of thing. So I would say to anyone, if you get the chance to go to school, if you're able to, take it, and by all means, enjoy the time that you have at school and learn from the professors and even from your classmates. And finally, I would say just be focused. Be focused on what you want. If you want to be a communicator, if you want to follow through on public relations in whatever field, be focused on it, keep working at it, and take all of the steps that you deem to be necessary to accomplish your goals. Never give up on your dreams.
Thank you. Thank you so much for all your pieces of advice. What advice also, again, what advice would you give someone who is considering this type of work within the corporate communication industry, for example?
Okay. So I would say know yourself. If you are interested in the corporate world, equip yourself with the tools that would make you able to function in the space. Read as much as you can, read up on the industry that you're interested in, and again, reach out to folks who are in the industry so you can understand what a day in the life of whatever role is, and try to get some insights into the respective positions. One of the things that I did on my journey was really just to sit and speak to my professors. My professors were very in touch with past graduates, and they connected me with books, and I was able to learn and draw from the experiences of others. I would say part of the experience as well, it takes a lot out of you sometimes when you have to start over in a new country, in a new space, or even in a new industry. But the corporate world, I would say, is relatively the same anywhere you go. It's a 9 to 5. You work in teams. Sometimes a little more effort is needed. So if work ends at 5 and you're working on a project that may take you to working at 7, you just put in the extra work, and the pride that comes from seeing the completion of a project, it's a feeling like no other, So you just find that balance, manage your time well, collaborate, and I believe you will be successful.
Okay, thank you. I think that you mentioned something important, to read about businesses. Sometimes when we are studying, sometimes we only focus on communications, books, or about public relations, but we leave behind the concept of business. When it's part, it comes together. So it's really, really important to be up to date and reading every day the news, and the financial section is really important, right?
Very important. I would recommend to anyone that you read as much as you can, read widely, because you really never know what element comes into play for your job, right? So I have been in positions where I was reading about politics, for example, and in a previous role, not my current role, but in a previous role, I recognized that the elements that were being spoken about on a political platform were the things that helped me to craft pieces to bring edification to people. So I think it's important that we read widely and continuously, because at the end of the day, knowledge is key, knowledge is power. So continue to read and keep yourself abreast of things.
Okay. Thank you so much, Analisa, for your time and advice kindly provided us. Anything else that you would like to add to this coffee chat, this interview, to our audience?
Yeah, of course. I think that this is an excellent platform for newcomers and for students alike. I believe that it is important that we form connections and reach out to folks. Step away from your comfort zone. That would be one of my key takeaways from my own experience as well. Step outside of your comfort zone, reach out to people, and give back as well. If you find that you are excelling and you have someone to thank for it, be grateful and give back. It always helps to pay it forward. And as communicators, we know that these connections, they are key. I encourage everyone to continue striving for excellence, dream big, and work hard. You know, it will pay off in the end. And of course, if there's anyone out there who is interested in learning and growing, I say continue reading, reach out and communicate. That's who we are as human beings, naturally communicators. So communicate as much as you can. And if folks want to reach out to me, feel free. Can reach out to me via LinkedIn and we can connect. Happy to spend time with any newcomer or any communication student who is interested in learning about this journey.
Thank you, Analisa, and thank you so much for your time, for your guidance, and see you guys on the next Professionals and Coffee Chat. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel and our social media platforms or social media channels, which are in the description below of this video. And thank you again, Analisa, and thank you, everyone. And see you on the next Professionals and Coffee Chat. Bye-bye.